Something's definitely bleeding.
What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris's Custom Collectables. It has been a hot minute since my last Custom Collectables episode, but I'm very happy to announce that today's Custom Collectible is the Mcfarlane Toys DC Multiverse Justice League Batfleck figure. Now, this guy is not available yet in Australia. I had to purchase him from the United States. He arrived a couple of days ago and he is absolutely beautiful. Perfect example of a blank canvas for a custom collectible, geeks and geekettes. It is an amazing likeness to Ben Affleck. The faceplate alone is pretty damn good. The only thing we're going to be doing to the faceplate is a dark wash for his stubble. But just look at all this beautiful detail and the potential to really bring this figure up a good couple of notches. It is weird though, because I have been an avid collector of Mcfarlane toys since I was about 13 years old. You know, I used to collect a lot of the movie Maniacs, the Spawn figures that Mcfarlane Toys used to put out, and the detail on them was insane in terms of the paint jobs. But it seems like, I guess this is the economy version of a Mcfarlane toy. You know, the detail's there, but the paint job is lacking. So a few things have changed since my last custom collectible video. As you all know, we're in the middle of a very big pandemic, and I'm going to say the word pandemic because I don't want to say the full word because apparently YouTube says that's a no-no and they don't like that for the algorithm. So a few things have changed. Number one, Model Master apparently are going bust or are not putting out as much product and shipping it to Australia anymore. So I am no longer able to acquire the chrome silver or the gold paint vials that I used to use a lot of in my previous custom collectible videos, but that's okay. We have a substitute for those two. Secondly, the original plan was to replace his cape here. And don't get me wrong, this is a beautiful looking cape. It has some nice flex to it. The detail's beautiful. It hangs really well. But ideally, I wanted to replace it with a pleather much similar to my Pirate Batman V1 cape and have a wire in there for an armature to pose the cape. Unfortunately, we are in a severe lockdown right now. We have gone back into lockdown here in Sydney, and it is essential businesses that are open at the moment. So unfortunately, that does not include Spotlight or any fabric stores. Now, I have never bought fabric online, and I don't want to, because if I'm going to buy fabric, I need something tangible. I need to feel it in person. And unfortunately, just buying it online is not an option, because if I get the wrong thing, I've wasted money. So for the time being, we're gonna be sticking to this cape. We're gonna be taking it off the figure to detail it and also paint the rest of the figure. But for the time being, we're gonna have to stay put with this cape, I'm afraid, geeks and geekettes. If there is another solution, if I can find a way around it whilst filming this video, absolutely, I will give it a crack. But for the time being, we're gonna stick to this one. And don't get me wrong, it still is a great looking cape. Just means we're gonna have to detail it a bit and do all the muddiness at the bottom, and it's still gonna look great. Now, at the end of this video, after the reveal, I'm gonna be putting this figure back in its original box, and I'm gonna be giving it away. I'm gonna let you guys know how to enter the giveaway. It's gonna be in the comment section of this video, and I'm gonna let you know what I'm asking for at the end of the video after the reveal. But yeah, I figured just be nice to give this away to a fan and find a nice home for him. So let's look at the tactical suit. Here are some photos of the screen use suit before Justice League came out. Look at all that beautiful detail. And this right here is the perfect blank canvas for it. So predominantly, we're gonna be using a lot of silvers and golds and matte blacks. So we are gonna be using the original color on this figure as a base. But of course, we need to prime the figure for the paint to really properly adhere. So I'm gonna be using the Duramax clear primer. That way, we still get to use the same base color. Now, like I said, I'm unable to get the same Model Masters paints at the moment / anymore. So the solution I have is Lamia. Now, a lot of my cosplay friends use these, especially for Batfleck stuff. So we have an old brass and a pewter color. Now, this is going to be for highlighting the armor plating, and this is going to be for the gold buckle straps surrounding his armor. Now, I'm going to be using a Liquitex neutral gray to paint his undersuit, because you guys have to remember, under the tactical suit is the regular bat suit from Justice League, just with plating on top, much in the vein of the mech suit from BVS. And I've got myself an array of very, very fine brushes. So this is gonna test my skill, because as you guys know, I get the shakes hardcore. So I'm probably gonna have to skip having coffees over the next couple of days whilst we work on this figure. Now, in terms of doing his stubble, we're just gonna be watering down a little incy-wincy bit of black shoe polish, and that will give us a nice 5 o'clock shadow effect. Once that's all done, we're gonna seal the entire figure up with a matte spray and call it a day. Now, also pending if I am able to find some sort of pleathery fabric that has a nice drape to it for a scaled figure like this, then hell, I'm going to go for it and use it. If not, we're just gonna be highlighting that cape and doing the muddy, weathered, frayed bottom part of it. So those are the methods we're gonna be using for this video. Pretty straightforward, but it's gonna be a lot of fidgety stuff, so I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to a nice little challenge and really bring this figure home. Because like I said, the form is there. It looks beautiful in person, and it's actually quite a nice scale. It's not too big, not too small, just right. All right, so first things first, we have to remove the cape and the belt diaper. And what I mean by belt diaper is you're gonna find out in a minute. So with that being said, let's get to it. Now, before we go any further, I just wanna give a massive shout out to my good friend and fellow artist, Mr. Oliver Schwartz. So Oliver is such a brilliant artist. I wanted to give him a shout out and showcase one of his pieces. This is his hyper realistic Tweety Bird 1:1 scale display. So I got this off Ollie as a kit, a resin kit. It's translucent yellow resin with translucent orange pieces like the beak and his feet. Put it all together, and I just went in and used some artist oils to do all the highlights and all the dark circles around his eyes. And if you can subtly see, I've got a fading tattoo there, and I glued some feathers on there as well. So all that's left to do is get a cigarette with some stuffing to make it look like smoke. But I just want to give a massive shout out to Oliver for sending this out to me to do up. It's such an amazing kit. Go check out his Instagram. This is his Instagram hook down below. The range the guy has is crazy. He'll do stuff like this and then do Batfleck related stuff. It's absolutely amazing. So go check him out. Okay, so first step, we're gonna remove the cape. So what you wanna do is grab yourself a cutting blade, Stanley knife, etc. I've already gone ahead and slit the cape here, so it is plugged into his back here, so it's literally the easiest slit right here. It goes through it like butter, lifts the cape up, and then we have the cape pleats here. So just want to do it by hand, just very carefully pull it away and it'll come off by itself. There we go, pleat 1 and plate 2. Like I said, Geeks and Geekettes, it is a beautiful cape, but honestly, I would love to find some sort of textured pleather, much in the vein of the texture of this cape, and have an actual cape that you can pose and have it flowing in the wind. So for the time being, we're gonna stick with this, but like I said, if I can find some fabric along the way of the process of making this video, I'm gonna go for it. So here he is, all nice and capeless. So remember I said the belt diaper? Well, this whole piece right here acts as a diaper, and we need to remove it to properly paint the underpart of this suit under the diaper here. So we're gonna do an old Gary leg spread on him. We're gonna take our blade, and this looks very painful, poor Batfleck, and just slit the diaper there. As you can see right there, we've got the joints, the ratchet joints of the legs. And then we're just gonna do one slit on one side of the diaper, not on both, just on one side here. And we're gonna be following the seam line of the actual diaper. And he just lifts off like so. So there you go. So we have the utility belt and the crotch area. Now, there's a reason why it is a diaper. Look at that. That is just some nightmare fuel right there. He looks so weird. Look at him.
Something's definitely bleeding.
All right, next step is to prime the figure, the diaper, and the cape. Alrighty, Geeks and Geekettes, we are starting the first process of repainting this figure with the undersuit. Now remember, it is Affleck's regular bat suit that is sitting under the tactical suits. So we're going in with our grey, and we're going to be covering all areas that have the textured suit all over the undersuit, all over the figure itself. So once this step is done, we're then going to get some watered down black shoe polish just to do a light wash to get in all that lovely detail and bring out that texture, much like the texture of the actual undersuit itself. Alrighty, geeks and geekettes, I'm very happy with how Mr. Affleck is turning out so far. So I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video in terms of the methodology we're using to pimp out this figure, but the next and cheeky little step is we're going to get some flat black. Now I've had this sitting around for a while, it's still quite full, which is amazing because I can't find this color of Model Master either. It's the flat black, you know, I've been using it for the better part of 6 years now with Custom Collectables. So the next step is we're actually going to go in and do the strapping all around the suit, the matte black. So we're going to be keeping these plating pieces here, the kind of dark gray that they are. And the reason being we're doing the straps black is it's just going to help break up the suit a lot more in terms of the final look. And from what I've noticed, the strapping on the screen used suit is black. It's black, it's almost like a matte and gloss black, but for the most part, we're just gonna be using the matte black. And then we're gonna grab the gold Lemire paint and start doing the buckles all around the suit, as well as the fins and some dry brushing, as well as try our darndest, and I really will, to do the bronze/gold knuckles and also do the toe caps, because the toe caps are silver at the moment on this figure. Alright, geeks and geekettes, next up we're going to be using the old brass from Lemire to do all of the buckles as well as some dry brushing. So I've gone ahead and done a little example here. We've got the buckles here on the thigh, but if you look on the gauntlet, I've gone in and dry brushed just ever so lightly some of the old brass on the gauntlet, because the more I look at Affleck's suits, there is some gold almost scuffing going on certain parts of the suit. So I'm going to be doing that on certain black panels of the suit. We've also done the fins, and I also will be going in and doing his gold knuckles here. I've gone in on this boot and already done the bronze toe cap. So I'm going to be repeating this process on this side and also the abs, and you'll see how I do that. So I do have a very fine brush that I'm going to be using for the buckles, and then when I'm ready to dry brush, just get as little as possible on the bristles and then go for it in terms of the dry brushing. Now I'm also going to be painting the gold collar tab here where the cape meets, and also painting the belt. This one I really want to get right. I really want to take my time with this one because I feel when it comes to Batfleck, the belt is kind of the centerpiece. You know, the belt, the chest emblem, and the cowl are the centerpieces of his suits. So I really want to take my time and just get the paneling right. So very happy with how the Lemire paint works and spreads. It's got a good coverage and there's so much of it, and it doesn't cost much. It's pretty damn cheap. Once this stage is done, we're then going to move on to dry brushing the silver from Lemire as well on the armor plated parts of the suit. Alright, geeks and geekettes, the final step in terms of the figure itself is the 5 o'clock shadow. So I'm just using some watered down black shoe polish for his 5 o'clock shadow. It's going to be one of those things where it's quite subtle and it'll just bring the figure up a couple of notches in terms of depth with the faceplate. not overly noticeable. We're not obviously going to go in and do each stubble piece bit by bit, but we're just going to build this up in a couple of layers. And you also see there it highlights Affleck's glorious bum chin. Now once this step is complete, we're going to grab our matte sealer from Testers and seal it up, and then move on to the cape. Now, using this cheap and nasty super glue from Bunnings, I've gone ahead and put the crotch diaper back on, glued it right here where we cut it, and glued it back right here just under the groin where we cut it. So very happy with how this has turned out, Geeks and Geekettes. So we're going to seal him up, and then it's time for the cape. Alrighty, now in terms of the cape, some unfortunate news. I found some blather! The one storage container left that I did not check initially, I checked and there was some pleather in there. I could not believe it. Even though it was not the ideal pleather I was looking for, we're still gonna make it work. So I was initially gonna spray some contact adhesive spray on the pleather and double it up. But that's not the case. It is way too thick. And this is a big sheet right here. Imagine something this thick on a tiny little action figure. It's just not gonna work. We're gonna be using this, but one ply. So my method in terms of creating the cape for this custom collectible was taking the original existing cape from the figure. I then use that as a template, especially around the perimeter where it's gonna be sitting on the cowl. I then trace that template onto the pleather and cut it out.
Bless you.
I then got some wire pieces and glued them down in place to hold them in place, and then got some contact adhesive spray from 3M and sprayed those areas and folded them back on each other, because I want a dynamic cape. I want a cape that's able to be posable and looks like it's flowing in the wind. Now once the cape was all dried, I then went to town with weathering it. So weathering it was using the same grade that we used to paint the undersuit of the figure, whilst also using a burnt sienna for the brown soiling at the bottom of the cape. I then sealed the entire piece up with the same matte spray that we used on the figure. And using that cheap and nasty super glue, I glued the cape in place around the base of the cowl. So with that being said, it's time for a reveal. And there we have it, guys. He is all done and dusted. I am absolutely over the moon with how he turned out. It was such a fiddly paint job, but I'm glad I got there in the end. It was a good little challenge, especially with keeping the brush as still as possible and just getting in all those nooks and crannies and all that beautiful detail in the suit. So, like I said, I'm gonna be giving this figure away. That's why I put him back in the box, and I think he looks really smashing in the box now. So the way to enter, you know I love myself a good pun. In the comments section below, drop your best Batman pun. The most punniest, gnarliest, dad jokiest pun that I see. I will respond to that comment. I will give you my email, and I can get your best shipping address, and this thing is yours, and I will ship anywhere in the world. Just my thank you to you guys for your amazing continued support. You're gonna go to a new home, buddy. So guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Much appreciated. Wherever you are in the world, have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you're well. Hope you're happy. Be merry, be silly. And until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.